Steve Sax from New York City.
Five-time All-Star participant, Steve Sax.
Hi, I'm Steve Sax, and I played Major League Baseball for some 15 years. I speak on leadership, team building, and personal development. All are highly motivational, which leads to action steps that creates more productivity in the workplace. Here's a few of my clips.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for having me here today. I'm very proud to be here on behalf of Coca-Cola and really talking about what I think is important in building a championship organization. I was fortunate in my baseball career as a member of the Dodgers to bookend my career with that organization with 2 World Series championship teams. And really, the focus on what it is to build that championship organization was obviously teamwork, perseverance, and what I think is the most important is a great attitude. 1983 was probably the worst year of my life. I mean, here I was in the major leagues. I was just coming off an all-star season. I was Rookie of the year before. And lo and behold, I made a couple errors in 1983 at the start of the year, and it stuck in my head, and I literally could not throw the ball to first base. The laughing stock of the league, I knew that everybody's focus was on me throwing the ball, and it got worse and worse. Now, they say if you work hard that things get better. It wasn't the case for me. The more I worked, it seemed to not get any better. As a matter of fact, the problem only snowballed and got worse. So what did I do? Well, I could do one of 2 things. I could give up, which sometimes I felt like doing. I can remember in San Diego after a game of throwing the ball way up into Section J somewhere, trying to throw it to first base. I went in the locker room, threw my glove in my locker. I was in tears, and I thought, you know what, this is probably going to be the end of my career. Tommy Lasorda used to take me out there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and blindfold me with a sanitary sock and say, okay, throw the ball to first base. And I'd do it time after time. I'd hit the first baseman in the chest, blindfolded, you know, with no problem. And then I started getting my confidence back again, and then pretty soon, after months of going through this problem was gone. My mother, I took to the All-Star game with me that year, and she told me, you know what, someday you're going to be glad that you went through this throwing problem. It's going to make you a better person, and it also made me a better player.
More now on baseball's growing problem. What's it going to take for this sport to change? Joining me from the nation's capital is Mike Wise, sports columnist with the Washington Post, and from Sacramento, California, former Major League Baseball star Steve Sax. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Alex.
Steve, I'm going to begin with you. When you played in the 80s and 90s, steroid use was not nearly as common as it is now. What do you think has changed? What makes these guys want to get juiced?
Well, I just think that there's all this going around about the money that's being made out there. Players feel that there's probably more pressure on them to go out and perform because of everything that's at stake. But it really is a tragedy because when I was playing, I never even saw anybody do anything with steroids. And I think there was just maybe a smattering of players that were doing it then, but it certainly has escalated now.
As the pennant race heats up, postseason looms, how intense does this get for the players?
Well, it does get very intense. However, I think as it is for most players, after the first or second inning is over, it's just like a normal game. But really, all the intensity and the build-up is probably before the games and maybe in the first or second inning. After that, it's just like a regular game, and players get into their normal nuances and the way they go about their business, and then it's all just regular speed.
It's just a job, right?
Yeah, well, it's a lot more fun than that.
Yeah.
But after the first or second inning, it's just like a regular game.
Steve, when you're at bat and it's a really crucial one, what goes through your mind?
Don't mess up. No, I guess really players they pretty much try to zero out what the fans are saying, and sure, you can hear the fans when you come up to bat, you can hear when you're walking out to the field, but the main thing is you have such intensity, and you've learned to do this before you got to the big leagues and the minor leagues and in college and whatnot. You learn to pretty much zero the fans out and just take care of what you have to on the field.
Right.
Most people are pulling for us, I would say. Most people are good-natured and good-hearted, and I think they really want the best for us. But every once in a while, we're going to have detractors. There's no question about it. I'm sure it's the same in closing medical company. You're going to have detractors. Sometimes people aren't going to think the best of you, or sometimes people may want to raid on your parade. Well, I kind of thought that happened to me, too. I had a high school coach that was a junior varsity coach that came up to me, and maybe he was all good intention, but he came up to me the day I got drafted, and he put his arm around me, and he said, "Steve, I got to tell you, what I think you should do is not sign with the Dodgers. Frankly, you're not good enough. I think you should probably take that scholarship to Arizona, and how can you really fault that? Because what's going to happen in 3 or 4 years when you finish your scholarship, you're going to wind up back here and driving a truck, probably like your dad, if you sign professional. So I would give you this advice and not do it. And then 3 years, it was 2 months after he told me that, I was wearing a Dodger uniform playing the World Series at Yankee Stadium. Folks, my point is, people can't see what you have tickling in your chest. They can see the outside, but what really happens and where it's all going to come, where the rubber hits the road, is what you have inside you. And I think that's true in any field, whether it be in baseball and whether it be in the company that I'm with the Royal Bank of Canada, or here with Closing Medical Company. It makes no difference. What you have burning in you is going to make the decision whether you're going to be a superstar in whatever field you're in or not. And I wholeheartedly believe that. So, about 3 years after my father passed away, I was having a conversation with my mother about the conversation I had with my father and how he had that throwing problem and what it did for me, basically saved my career. And my mom looked at me and she told me, she said, "Your father never had a throwing problem."